But if you go to Hawaii, there's no marker. There's no house that says Barack Hussein Obama was born in this house. This is where little baby Obama attended school. It doesn't exist. There's something strange about this.
Something very strange. And again, Kenyans have stepped forward. His paternal grandmother interviewed about this and said that he was born in Kenya. She was present for his birth. You had the ambassador from Kenya to the United States, Peter Ogigo, say this in a radio station with two interviewers who actually seemed very surprised that he admitted this. And this was just a couple of days after the November 2008 election where Ambassador Ogigo made this revelation. And when they hung up, they seemed surprised that, maybe he didn't know what a controversy it was. He may not be that familiar with our laws and our Constitution. But they said, well, I wasn't going to argue with His Excellency over where he was born. But they were even surprised that the ambassador said this. And then you had an Anabaptist minister also claim and signed an affidavit to this effect that he had talked to a civil registrar who had said the birth record was there, it was classified. And this, of course, just raises more and more questions. And again, why would you just not end the controversy and stop this undercurrent and, frankly, remove the cloud over his presidency? It's become a big cloud over his presidency. It's a stain. Everyone is troubled by it. We are a nation of law. We respect the law. That's what makes us civilized, productive, and stable.
I'm particularly troubled by it when he signs treaties with the Russians that is going to drastically cut our nuclear arsenal, and he issues a new nuclear doctrine that apparently severely restricts the ability of the United States to respond to a biological, chemical, nuclear attack on this country.
All this is contributing to escalating the pressure for him to present his bona fides. He needs to credential himself. There are going to be people that disagree with him over policy, but above all, they need to know that at least this is being done legally. And that's, I've tried to explain to people that they're very worried that you're trying to overturn an election. What they may not understand is that an election does not nullify the Constitution. The Constitution is the prevailing document in this country.
All right.
And that's what military officers swear their oath to. Every member on Capitol Hill has sworn a similar oath.
And as you said, Colonel Lakin swore an oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Exactly.
We have domestic enemies. We have enemies inside this country.
It is his duty to obey legal orders, and there's something called duty to disobey. And we knew this dating back from Nuremberg to other controversies, whether it's My Lai or the controversy over Abu Ghraib. You know not to. You can only follow legal orders.
Now, let's talk about that. Why is this important to Colonel Lakin to know that the orders he is obeying are legitimate? He
is a very principled man. He's studied the issue, and he's talked with many people about it. He took a lot of time, as others have done. There's an amazing network across the country, and I should point out that it's not partisan. An individual I hear from probably more than anyone else on this issue voted for Obama, but he feels burned by this. I mean, he feels...
And it's also not racial, because Alan Keyes is one of the most outspoken people in this country demanding that Obama prove his citizenship.
Well, and the controversy was inflamed by Kenyans. I mean, I don't think Kenyans in Africa have said he was born in their country. So, and relatives, this is Sarah Obama, paternal grandmother. This is a problem for the president. And mostly what has happened is there's been an effort just to conceal it and to ridicule those people saying, why doesn't he solve the controversy by demanding the release of the records? Instead, he's got a legal team aggressively protecting all of these records. Any of them that would shed light on his citizenship status are being defended aggressively and fought in courtrooms across the country.
Okay.
And threatening letters, too, by the way, including my father-in-law, who received one from Bob Bauer with Perkins Coie, but he subsequently went down to become White House counsel. But my 83-year-old father-in-law, a World War II veteran, an Annapolis graduate, a Rhodes Scholar, Foreign Service officer, these are distinguished people saying, just release the original birth certificate.
And your dad received a threatening letter?
Oh, absolutely.
And who sent the letter?
It was by Bob Bauer, who's now become White House counsel, but at the time writing from his law firm from Perkins Coie.
And what was he threatening him?
Over pursuing the truth about Obama's eligibility.
But how was what was the threat?
He had filed a case in federal court that Philip Berg initially, another Democrat, initially pursued, and he thought, we're entitled to know this information. I mean, we need to know this information. The Constitution says there's 3 requirements for the presidency. Natural born is one of them. So we need to know. And for that, he received a threatening letter saying, we will pursue financial sanctions against you. Now, luckily, the judge who echoed the same thing, he was a Clinton-appointed judge, James Robertson, ended up not pursuing the sanctions. I wrote a series of articles then about this whole controversy because, like a lot of people, I was busy working full-time. I'm a mother with children. I didn't know that I'd heard about the controversy about McCain, like many people. I had some friends who didn't like him who were emailing me saying, but I don't think he's natural born. And I'm saying, what? Born to 2 American citizens, you couldn't be natural born? So it's caused me to look at it then, but only from
and the question regarding Senator McCain was because his dad was in the Navy, and
right.
Mr. McCain was born in Panama, but he was on a military base.
Yes, exactly. And but I have to admit, this has been a good opportunity for the American people to learn more about their Constitution and what these words mean because they matter.
Okay, now, Mr. Is it Baer that wrote the letter?
Bob Bauer.
Bauer?
Bauer. B-A-U-E-R.
Okay. Who was he working for as a lawyer?
Perkins Coie.
But who retained the law firm?
Well, it's defending. I mean, his letter says, "I represent President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden," and he was responding to the district court's rule in the Hollister versus Soetoro case.
Okay, now, why would you spend money for a high-priced law firm to fight a request for your birth certificate if there's nothing to hide?
Well, that's the problem. Is that you do have a group of
I'm not going to spend a lot of money to hide my birth certificate. Yeah. I wouldn't waste money doing that. I'd say, hey, you want to see it? Here it is.
The logical assumption is there's something worth hiding. And I reminded people that everyone who undergoes a security clearance, I've had one myself, I've had to do interviews with other people trying to obtain security clearances, your whole background is open to examination because you're in a position of public trust.
By the way, I had a former federal prosecutor on this program, and he told me that he doesn't believe Barack Hussein Obama could get a security clearance for a government job.
Well, I pointed this out. Interestingly, I found that a lot of staff on Capitol Hill, and I was a staffer myself for many years, went to Snopes to do their research on this issue, a website, and on Obama, and I've said be careful with them because they had an entry that said that he would, presumably under ordinary circumstances, be able to get a security clearance. So I wrote an email in and I said, I beg to differ. I think your entry is misleading. And I've gone through the investigations many times for friends getting clearances, and I know what the standard questions are. And you're asked about subversive affiliations. You're asked about drug use. And, of course, he did disclose that he had used cocaine. I said typically hard drug use is a no-go. They are beginning to forgive young, youthful marijuana use because so many people have used marijuana when they were young. But even adult use is problematic. But hard drugs, I've never heard of anyone getting a security clearance who admitted to hard drug use. So I said, I think you need to clarify your entry. It's misleading. I never heard back from them. But this concerns me because that's where people were going to say, oh, the certification of live birth proves he was born in Hawaii. It does not.
Okay,
that's the problem. And that's where they were going for their research.